Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castro.
It's a Friday today with Buddha's Belly at the yummy treats. Ano ba
Oo.
meron?
We have fried rice, spare ribs, buchi, of course, yung beef, what do you call
Beef
it?
stew.
Beef stew. And of course, our favorite hakaw.
Hakaw.
Thank you so much kay Margarita ng Buddha's Belly.
Belly.
Na lagi nagpapadala sa atin every Friday.
Yeah, and of course today we're monitoring several developing stories. Isa na doon yung impeachment.
Yes, of course. Medyo matagal-tagal pa bago mamatay yung balita na yan unless
Hindi pa
na
kasi
nila ituloy.
nagsisimula eh.
Hindi pa nagsisimula.
Abangan pa natin yan. Alright, we're serving you today's headlines.
All that before your second cup of coffee. This is Brunch.
President Bongbong Marcos denied any involvement in the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte at the House of Representatives. Here's the report.
President Bongbong Marcos has distanced himself from the impeachment proceedings against Vice President Sara Duterte. Speaking at the palace briefing, he emphasized that the executive branch has no role in the process.
Walang role ang executive sa impeachment.
Marcos recalled his appeal last November, urging lawmakers not to file an impeachment complaint against the vice president.
I made the pronouncement, sinabi ko na ayaw ko yung sana wag na tayo mag-impeachment dahil madaming ibang trabaho at actually it's also not practical. At nung panahon na yon, nung una kong sinabi yun, wala pang nagfa-file ng impeachment. Kung titignan naman ninyo, yung mga kaalyado ko sa House of Representatives, wala sa kanila ang nag-file. Wala sa sumunod naman nila sa hiniling ko sa kanila.
However, since other groups pursued Duterte's impeachment in the House, Marcos insisted that the executive can only step aside.
Once the impeachment complaints are filed, they have no choice. The House has no choice. The Senate has no choice. Kailangan nilang i-proseso ang impeachment complaint. And that's exactly what has happened.
Meanwhile, the president confirmed that his son, Representative Sandro Marcos, sought his advice. Sandro was the first to sign the impeachment complaint, which passed the House of Representatives on February 5.
Sabi ko kay Kong Sandro, sabi ko sa kanya, the process has already begun. So, it's your duty now to support that process.
Marcos also acknowledged discussing the case with Speaker Martin Romualdez, his cousin, and other congressmen.
Did we discuss it with the Speaker? Did we discuss it with the other congressmen? Of course. And that tinatanong, anong plano ninyo? Ano ba talagang gusto ninyong gawin? And that's it. Well, nandito na ito. Hindi na namin maiwasan.
The president added that he is open to calling a special session of Congress to move forward with the impeachment trial, but only if the Senate makes a formal request.
The senators ask for it, yes. Pero kung wala silang request na ganun, ibig sabihin may iba pa silang ginagawa. They're not yet ready.
For now, Marcos describes himself as a very interested observer. For News 5, Maricel Halili, We Are One News.
Yung ibang headline ng mga dyaryo, hugas kamay, di ba?
Hugas kamay sila.
Hugas kamay daw ang ating presidente. Dahil, of course, we've all known naman, if you backtrack all our reports here, meron siya mga pahayag. And also, nagkaroon din ng leakage before yung mga text message na saying na, what you call this? Yung impeaching VP Sara is not important, etc. But of course, as I've said yesterday, the biggest plot twist there is that seeing his son, Congressman Sandro Marcos, first one to sign on the impeachment complaint.
Alam mo, at the end of the day kasi ang problema sa nangyayari nitong sarsuela between Duterte's and Marcos's faction is hindi very clear ang line on both sides. So, yung mga supporters are also confused. Kasi in previous administrations, simulan natin kay Era PGMA, Pinoy PGMA, very clear ang division, di ba? Each group spoke out against each other. They were not playing it safe. Parang ito kami, ito kayo. Pero ngayon parang both sides are playing it safe. Parang both sides they fear each other. Parang alam nila election season. Siguro that's what complicates it kasi election season eh. They're not confident.
Walking on eggshells sila. Kasi if you do this, baka mawalan ako ng boto. If you do otherwise, ganun din naman ang magiging resulta.
And if that's their reasons, then they're not confident about their political base. Kasi dapat like before, kay Pinoy, he was confident about, okay, mawawalan akong malaki kay PGMA. Di ba kasi inaaway niya si PGMA noon. Pero confident ako sa political base ko that I have. This time, they both recognize na malaki ang political base nila. And it's divided by 3 because you have to remember si VP Lenny also had 15 to 14 million votes sa last election. Malaki-laki din yun. So they realize na ang mawawala sa kabila, malaking dagok sa kanila yun.
Right. And then if you can see, if you watch the press con yesterday nung ni Pangulo, di ba, ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, medyo nairita na siya doon sa mga paulit-ulit na tanong.
Yes, oo.
Pero yun nga, sinabi niya, one thing is for sure, yung fear niya na kapag nag-impeachment complaint, yan na lang yung pag-uusapan, yan na lang yung gagawin. Sabi niya, it's already happening, di ba? Instead of us talking about the present issues of our country, sabi niya, we're talking about this, di ba? We're talking about the process, etc. Sabi niya, it's already happening. Yan yung sinasabi niya yesterday sa kanyang press con.
Yes, that's right.
All right. Meanwhile, it is the Senate who will stand as a judicial body and decide whether the Vice President is guilty or not. But they will not act on it until June. Senate President Chis Escudero says legally an impeachment trial cannot be done while Congress is on a break. Recall that the Senate adjourned its plenary session on Wednesday and will be back on June 2.
Para mag-convene ang impeachment court, kailangan may sesyon ang Senado. Para manumpa ang impeachment judges, kailangan may sesyon ang Senado. So kung may mangyayari mang aksyon o kaganapan kaugnay nito, yan ay mangyayari sa June 2, pag-resume ng Senado, matapos ang eleksyon.
But according to former Bayan Muna Representative Nery Colmenares, senators do not need to be in session for the trial to begin. Colmenares was among the public prosecutors during the Corona impeachment trial in 2012.
Iba yan sa Senate. The impeachment court is not a legislative body. They have all the time now until June 30 na mag-impeachment trial. So, yung punto na lang dito is this. Pwedeng ituloy ng Senado ang impeachment trial ngayon kung gustuhin nila.
A lot of questions remain over the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte. But what would happen if she resigns amid all of this? In an interview with A Big Story, former Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio explained that if Duterte resigns before a decision is made in her impeachment trial, the case would be dismissed. He added that if Duterte resigns before a conviction, she would remain eligible to run for office again.
If she resigns and before there's a judgment of conviction, then there's no prohibition for her to run again. The Constitution says that the penalty shall not go beyond removal from office and perpetual disqualification to all public office. So if he has resigned, it's academic. You cannot remove her from office anymore. So I think they will just dismiss the impeachment complaint because she's no longer in office.
To share insights in all of these developments, we are joined by Professor Dennis Coronacion, Chair of the Department of Political Science at the University of Santo Tomas or UST. Good morning, Prof. Thanks for joining us today.
Prof, yung audio, nakamute ka, Prof.
There you go. Hey, Prof. Ayun. Yeah, thanks for joining us again, by the way. Good morning.
Here. Good morning again. Good morning.
Siguro first of all na lang po, Prof, I would like to ask you if you were expecting itong nangyari na ito na impeachment noong February 5 by the House of Representatives. Is this something you have been expecting?
Well, since the first impeachment complaint was filed at the Congress, at the House of Representatives, how yung expectation ko that it would push through had increased. Sabi ko, pwede, posible, no? But again, in the background, there was this order from the President addressed to his allies in the House of Representatives to have nothing to do with these impeachment complaints. So I thought it was not going to prosper And just the other day, ito na, ang nangyari na, no? We were all surprised. Andyan na to. Na-approve na yung impeachment complaint, the fourth one, and we're just waiting for the action on the part of the Senate.
Oh.
Yes. And
Follow up ko lang, did you think that it was railroaded, as many others would say?
Well, that's the impression created, railroaded, because it's a fact that it all happened. The approval, the signing of the fourth complaint, and the approval all happened in just a few hours. So that creates the impression na talagang minadali or ni railroad. But on the other hand, let's remember that there's I think, a mechanism in our Constitution that allows the members of our Congress that allows the approval of the Constitution in a fast way, if the impeachment complaint could muster at least a one-third of the members of the House. So, more than naman yung nakuha nila eh.
That's right. Pero Prof, if you look at the big picture, 200 plus votes no ang nakuha nila to transmit it to the Senate kaagad. No? And if you look at yung statements ng mga congressmen in the last 2 months, consistently, sinasabi nila na hindi nila pinag-uusapan. But we all know naman, Prof, in order to have 200 votes, ibig sabihin matagal na kayo nag-uusap-usap. In other words, 100 pages itong fourth impeachment complaint. Inupuan ng House yung 3 complaints, hinintay yung fourth. Nobody is saying anything about kung sino ang gumawa ng fourth. So what do you read into all of this, Prof? Bakit sila natatakot ilabas kung pinag-usapan, pinagplanuhan, at kung sino may pakana nito?
Well, I suppose, tingin ko matagal na nilang pinagplanuhan na i-impeach talaga si Vice President. It's just that they could not carry it out kasi nga siguro may mga certain considerations pa sila. Baka they were worried na hindi mag-gain ng traction, hindi mag-resonate mga tao. But siguro naghihintay pa ng mga signs. Kaya hindi pa sila sigurado kung pipirma sila. And then probably in the last few weeks, the last few days, yung mga events that took place in that period somehow convinced them to push through with the impeachment against the Vice President.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yun nga po, marami nangyari na, no? Yung dapat sanang nag-simmer down na noon.
Yeah.
Noong December, na akala natin there was already a ceasefire between the two camps.
Cold case na daw.
Biglang uminit na naman, meron naman world war. So, that somehow I thought na baka nakakontribute yon sa checking of the decision of our congressmen na ituloy na yung impeachment.
Yeah.
Yun, Prof, ito two questions in related sa sinabi mo. Yung unang question is, you think is yung mga isa pang parang final straw at nag-trigger sa Congress to file this impeachment finally or sign all the impeachment complaint was yung pag-pronounce ni VP Sara all over the news na tatakbo nga siya bilang presidente, parang natauhan yung mga teka lang, pag tumakbo to, yari tayo dahil inaway natin. Number 2, you were mentioning signs. Maghihintay ng signs yung Congress. So do you think that yung Sandro Marcos signing the document was parang, ito pipirma ang anak ko, yan ang senyales nyo na, okay, I will not come out. I will not come out officially that to tell you, sige, go lang, you have my blessing. Pero by the son signing it, it gave strength to the other congressmen to also sign the complaint.
Pero Prof, dagdagan ko lang yung isa pang factor na sinasabi nila, yung paghahain sa Supreme Court ng 'di ba kaso laban naman doon sa budget natin, 2025 budget. So all of those three, so yung dalawang na-mention ni Diego and this one, do you think those are one of the factors bakit biglang nagkaroon ng impeachment complaint?
Yes, lahat yun all the events that took place, yung mga intervening events na yun, I think contributed nga to the changing of the decision of our congressmen. Yung pong yung unang yung event na kauna-unang pumirma yung anak ng ating pangulo, si Congressman Sandro Marcos, doon sa fourth impeachment complaint. I think that is very symbolic and suggestive that that Malacanang is behind this despite the denial. Parang yung parang yung anak pinakaunang pumirma, tapos yung Speaker of the House,
yes,
who happens as the President, pinakahuling pumirma. Parang, although dinedenay ni Pangulo, ni President Bongbong Marcos, parang may imprimatur niya. Mayroong go signal pero iba yung sinasabi niya, iba yung pinopronounce niya. Pero alam nyo, despite the denial, tingin ko nagkaroon din ng, in terms of communication, when, I think last week, itong si Executive Secretary Bersamin, he's denied na the President has something to do in stopping the members of Congress from, I think, discussing the impeachment complaint. So, doon pa lang sabi ko, uy, parang hint na yun na pwede nang ituloy. And ito na ngayon, unfolding event. Natuloy na yung i-approve yung impeachment complaint.
Pero a lot of or some legal experts are saying na pwede yatang takasan ni Vice President Sara Duterte itong impeachment trial if she would go down the road kung anong ginawa daw ni dating former ombudsman na Martires and COMELEC Chairman Andres Bautista. Baka daw makalusot siya doon. No? Ibig sabihin, magre-resign siya even before the impeachment trial would happen. Your thoughts on that po?
Well, that can be an option, especially if it's coming from our constitutional expert. That can be an option for the Vice President. Siguro, if the impeachment trial has already started and along the way, she has noticed that the evidence against her are very strong and she might end up getting the guilty verdict, siguro pwede niya na i-preempt, Kasi medyo mabigat yung consequence pag siya ay naging nahatulan na guilty. So, perpetual disqualification from public office. So, yung kanyang plan to run for as president for the 2028 election, baka hindi matuloy yun if she gets the guilty verdict dito sa impeachment trial na to. So that can serve as an option. Pwede. Lalo pat ginawa na yan ng ibang mga, although nasa judiciary.
Yes.
Pero tingin ko mas mabigat yung reason para, kumbaga man, mas mabigat yung reason for her to do that, to do the same act. Kung sakaling nakikita niya na matatalo talaga siya. Especially, siguro magkakaroon na siya ng hint after the 2025 election, titingnan niya kung sino sa mga senador na nanalo ang pwedeng madagdag doon sa inihintay niya na 8 votes. Para
Pero Prof, ano yung impact nito kay VP Sara in case she steps down amidst a impeachment trial, which may happen sa June pa, no? And then she resigns. Ano yung impact nito sa numero niya o sa base niya? Or yung mga on-the-fence voters, kung sakali sa 2028, lalaban nga si VP Sara sa presidential election?
Well, yung pong resignation may create the impression that she's guilty. Or it can create that impression, So it might affect her chances of winning sa 2028 elections. So yung mga diehard siguro, yung mga diehard Duterte supporters
Will remain diehard.
no matter what, andyan sila,
Yeah.
Sakaling magbago isip nila and they might withdraw their support.
So what's going to happen, Prof? Let's say, for example, kasi alam naman natin very vocal yung support ng 3 senador sa Senate, no? And pang-apat pa si Senator Amy Marcos. Who am I talking about? Senator Bongo, Senator Robin Padilla, and Senator Bato de la Rosa. Kung sakali matuloy yung impeachment trial at sila pa rin ang nakaupo, hindi pa gawin nila ng Senado na before the election yung impeachment trial, mas maganda ba sa mata ng tao na sila ay mag-inhibit dito sa trial na ito?
Well, that can be an option, yung pag-inhibit, but since this is a political exercise, hindi naman ina-expect sa mga judges natin mayroong expectation that they should be impartial and objective.
Yes.
Kaya nga, they've already admitted, especially si Senator Robin Padilla, sabi niya, I'm not going to vote in favor of impeaching the Vice President. So, inadmit niya na. And even though may ganung expectation that they should be, as judges in the impeachment, should be objective and impartial, tingin ko hindi naman ganun hindi siya requirement since it's nature a political exercise.
So parang pagkatiwalaan na lang natin na they will be impartial.
Yeah. Hoy, pero
Pagdating ng trial,
before we go, I'd like to ask Prof, kasi it's been made known out in the public na kung sakaling nga natuloy na tong trial sa impeachment court, si former President Rodrigo Duterte would stand as a defense lawyer for the Vice President. Now, do you think this is a PR optic stunt in order to gain sympathy from the public na you have the dad defending the daughter and a beloved former president?
Yes, opo, this could be a PR stunt on the part of the president and could possibly benefit the Duterte family, in terms of creating a narrative that could them. Tama ho, pwede. Pero kung iisipin natin, how old is the former president?
78, 77, no?
Mga ganun,
Oo.
Kaya pa ba niya i-rigor na impeachment trial? Susuriin niya yung mga evidence?
Right.
But siguro it's going to be there symbolically. Oo.
Alright, on that note, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. That was Professor Dennis Coronacion, Chair of the Department of Political Science at the University of Santo Tomas. Thank you so much,
Thank you, Prof.
See you again soon. Hindi kasi nagiging parang labanan talaga to ng legalidad, no, ng mga lawyers. Iba't ibang interpretasyon. May sinasabi si former Senate President Franklin Drilon na pwede mag-convene, no, ang Senado as an impeachment court
Kasi
kung hihingi si Pangulo, magre-request, no, si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos sa Kongreso na i-allow ang Senado, 'di ba, na mag-convene as a impeachment trial or impeachment court rather. Pero ang sinasabi naman ni Senator Chis Escudero, pwede yun, pero pwede yung mga ganyan, yung mga requests na mag-convene. Pero sabi niya, hindi ata to pwede sa mga impeachment trial. Because usually sa mga batas lang.
In the past, usually,
na
pag may agam-agam ng ganito, kung ang dami interpretation, what they do is sige, we'll test the narrative, let's convene as an impeachment court with the request of the President, and then if may reklamo, i-elevate nyo sa Supreme Court. So finally, the Supreme Court will come up with the precedents. So moving forward, meron na tayong pangbabasihan ng desisyon ng
Yes.
Supreme Court. So that's the best we can do for now. Pero I think since this is a political practice in nature, they are very apprehensive of rocking the boat given na magkaka-election na. Diba? So
Yun ang
on one
problema.
side, yung mga pro-impeachment, they want to get the numbers. On the other side, ayaw nila mawala ng numero.
Pwede pa natin pag-usapan yan later. But coming up, over 90 House lawmakers did not approve of impeaching Vice President Sara Duterte. Sino-sino kaya sila?
And COMELEC clarifies the guidelines on celebrities and vloggers endorsing a candidate in the midterm elections.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching Brunch here on One News. Go ahead, Diego.
Vice President Sara Duterte is holding a press conference today, February 7, following her impeachment by the House of Representatives. For updates, we have mobile journalist Amy Atienza. Amy, good morning.
Angela, Diego, good morning. Nandito nga tayo ngayon sa Office of the Vice President Central Office kung saan naabangan natin ang magiging statement ni Vice President Sara Duterte patungkol sa impeachment na ginawa sa kanya ng House of Representatives. Pero so far, wala pa naman masyado nangyayari at aabangan natin at around 11 a.m. pa raw magsisimula yung press conference ni Vice President.
Amy, meron ka na bang mga nakita dyan na kilalang supporters, known personalities na supporters ni VP Sara para umattend nung kanyang presser dyan ngayon?
Dito kasi siya sa may Mandaluyong area and so far na nag-ikot-ikot ako kanina, wala pa naman masyadong tao around the area and balita natin, ito ay invitation lang talaga for the press. So most likely hindi din nakaabot talaga sa mga supporters pero just in case na meron nga din na umabot ito sa supporters, most likely mamaya pa itong mga tanghali.
Tama ba yung mga bulong-bulungan daw dyan na it's going to be just statement from her? Wala daw mga Q&A from other reporters there as well?
Yes, advisory na rin niya ng Office of the Vice President na wala nga daw questions na tatanungin during and after after the statement. So technically magsasalita lang naman dito si Vice President Sara Duterte at ito na nga siguro yung magiging official statement niya and update niya din after niya mabasa talaga lahat ng complaints sa kanya regarding sa impeachment.
Amy, kasi ang daming senaryo lumalabas dito kung anong sasabihin niya. But do you have an inkling kung anong direksyon na papunta ng statements? Kasi of course, hindi mo matanggal sa isipan ng mga tao sa mga social media. Baka mag-resign, mga away ba siya? So ano yung idea niyo on her statement?
Most likely naman, Diego, ang mangyayari lang talaga dito is that harapin niya kung ano man yung charges na meron sa kanya. Though meron na nga rin kasing mga allegations so baka hindi na naman siya mag-show up. Pero yun nga, ito na siguro yung way niya para i-clear out lahat ng mga allegations na meron sa kanya, lalo na sa graft and corruption, pati na rin dun sa confidential funds. So most likely matatalakay natin yun dito sa statement na gagawin ni Vice President Sara Duterte.
Alright, sige, balikan ka na lang namin kapag nag-start na dyan. Maraming salamat sa inyong update. That was mobile journalist Amy Atienza. Meanwhile, the Philippine Embassy in Japan calls on Pinoys there to follow public health standards amid the rise in flu cases. Here's the report.
Temperatures have dropped in Japan. Aside from thick clothes, people were seen wearing face masks. RD, a Pinoy living in Japan, said people there are being extra careful, especially now amid the rise of flu-like illnesses.
Sa household lang namin, yung pamangkin kong Japanese talagang sinisipon, inuubo, madali syempre mga bata, pati yung kapatid ko, tsaka yung brother-in-law. Yung seasonal flu, yun yung talagang kalaban ng mga tao.
People were also worried following the death of Meteor Garden star Barbie Hsu. Reports stated that she died due to influenza-induced pneumonia while in Japan. Based on the latest data from the Japanese Health Ministry, each hospital is catering to 11 patients with flu. With this, the Philippine Embassy in Japan called on Filipinos to follow public health standards. These include wearing of face masks, frequent hand washing, and staying at home when feeling sick. Those coming to Japan are advised to get travel insurance. That's what Katrina and Rickson Tiga-Agalula did, but aside from that, they also availed of flu vaccines.
Hindi natin alam kung kailan tayo magkakasakit. So, kailangan mag-prepare na talaga. Vaccine, number 1. If nagkasakit ka daw without insurance, mas malaki yung bill mo.
Mobile journalist Amy Atienza, PR1 News.
Let's talk more about influenza and other related illnesses.
We have infectious disease expert Dr. Ronchin Solante joining us via Zoom. Good morning, Doc. Thanks for joining us again.
Hi, good morning.
Sige po, siguro po tell us more about na lang po influenza. Ito po ba yung, para po mas malinaw po sa ating mga kapatid noon, ito po ba yung kalimitan na nararanasan natin na trangkaso?
Yes, no? Ito yung influenza is a virus that is circulating in seasonal pattern. And nangyari dito, during the month of November, December, January, and February, most countries, no, including the Philippines,
Yeah.
talagang nag-circulate ang influenza virus, and a lot of times ang mga sintomas nito, yung sinasabi mo nga na trangkaso, no, ubo, lagnat, tapos sipon-sipon, masakit ang katawan, and people with influenza will just all healed without any treatment.
Pero Doc, no, when do you think it's for a person who has the flu, no? Ano ba yung, how do we differentiate if it's becoming too serious? Like in the case of yung sa Meteor Garden Star, nag-influenza lamang and then naging pneumonia. But alam naman natin, Doc, basta maaga ang pagdidetect sa pneumonia, wala naman mangyayari. So how do you know when it's just too serious already?
Diego, no, it's important na pag meron ka ng mga sintomas, no, pag tumuloy na yan ng mga 5 days, 7 days, nandun pa rin yung ubo, especially pag nahirapan ka ng huminga or yung ubo mo may plema nang lumalabas tapos konting galaw mo lang medyo hirap na ang katawan mo. This is common among may mga comorbidities na nadadala sa hospital dahil nga nagka-pneumonia. And they're not aware na it's a flu influenza pala. It started with the flu influenza and then nangyari, naging severe. And then that's the time that they also, a lot of them will have a more severe form of this and can also be a cause of mortality.
Amid all of this, Doc, sinasabi nila talaga yung importance ng vaccine, yung flu vaccine and pneumonia vaccine. Can you explain that to us po kung kailan po pwedeng magpa-vaccine nitong mga to?
Okay, so ang recommendation natin dito sa Pilipinas, usually kasi ang flu vaccine dito sa Philippines mga April. Recommendation natin na dapat pagdating pa lang April, May, June dapat magpabakuna tayo, no? Dahil ang protection kasi ng flu vaccine will only last around 7 to ibig sabihin, pinabakunahan natin sila earlier part of the year to prepare our influenza sa Pilipinas. It usually starts on July, August, na yan, September, hanggang December and then end of January, nandun ang mga sintomas ng trangkaso related. Ang common pa rin is influenza.
Yung pneumonia vaccine po?
Well, ang pneumococcal vaccine ay binibigay lang to. Meron tayong tinatawag na bagong mga bakuna ngayon na binibigay isang dose na lang at ulitin. Ang ginagawa namin dito, pag meron kang opportunity na makita mo itong mga vulnerable population, sinasabay namin yung pneumococcal at flu vaccine para isahan makuha mo yung opportunity na mabakunahan sila sa dalawang bakuna that can protect them against a more severe form of pneumonia kagaya ng pneumococcal at saka flu.
Doc, para ma-explain lang mabuti kasi siyempre mga kababayan natin, they'd like to understand ano ba talaga ang nagagawa ng vaccine. Let's take for example, pneumonia vaccine. May mga nagpa-vaccine, sabi nila, nagka-pneumonia pa rin ako ba't pa ako nag-vaccine? So paki-explain, how does the vaccine help really?
Yes, Diego, no? Napaka-importante maintindihan natin na itong mga bagong bakuna, ang effect nila, kumbaga ang benefit nila, hindi lang ganun na ka-effective sila in terms of protecting us, but ang pinaka-mataas talaga na bisa nito is protecting us against the severe form of pneumococcal flu, no? Kaya yung mga nabakunahan, may mga data na tayo dito, Diego, no? May mga comorbidities. Yes, nagkalagnat, nagkaubo, pero hindi tumuloy doon sa severe form dahil nga nabakunahan. Kumpara doon sa mga walang bakuna, yun talaga ang high risk na pwedeng mag-severe at pwedeng ikakamatay nila, especially yung mga bata at sa mga matatanda.
Yes. Doc, I'd like to clarify kasi ang pneumonia, meron yan may bacterial, meron yan viral, may fungal. Diba? So, itong vaccine, what does it cover you from? Lahat ng forms?
Ganito yan, Diego, yung pneumonia vaccine could only cover one organism, no? Yung Streptococcus pneumonia, which is a bacterial gen, no? At ito siya ang pinaka-most common cause of pneumonia na nakukuha natin sa mga bakterya. Ito naman yung virus na most common cause of pneumonia among the viral causes of infection. So, magkahawig yung dalawa, ang magkaiba lang, yung isa bacteria, yung isa flu, pero the same ang manifestation, the same ang mga complication niyan.
Oo. Siguro linawin na lang din natin sa mga kababayan natin ngayon, Doc, kasi I remember nung mga bata pa kami sinasabi, uy, tinarang kaso siya kasi ang lamig ng panahon. 'Di ba? Sinipon siya kasi ang lamig ng panahon.
Yeah.
And in fact naman talaga, hindi naman yung lamig ng panahon yung nagkukos nung sakit mo. Kayo na po mag-explain yan, Doc.
Yes, ganito yan, no? Kaya nga tinatawag influenza or seasonal flu kasi usually during the time of the year may season talaga na mataas ang mga kaso, but it doesn't mean na doon lang ng mga buwan, no, yung mga binanggit ko kanina, because it's a whole year round na mga infection na pwede tayong makuha na nagkataon lang during the taglamig na panahon tumataas ang mga kaso dahil mataas din ang hawaan.
Kaya pala. Pero siguro reminders na lang din
Yeah.
po sa mga kababayan natin, especially those who are going to travel abroad also. Ano ba yung mga dapat nilang gawin? Doc, go ahead po.
Yes, ang advice ko ngayon, ang recommendation ko talaga, pag umpisa pa lang na nasa airport na kayo, no, ang daming tao diyan, magsuot na ng face mask. Pagpasok sa airplane, magsuot na tayo ng face mask para hindi magkakahawa-hawaan. Paglabas nyo sa airplane, nandun na kayo sa ibang bansa, especially dun sa mga bansa na malamig ngayon, kagaya ng Japan, no? Ito yung medyo mataas ng mga kaso. Mas mainit na you have to protect yourselves para lang at least hindi kayo makakuha ng infection. At pag meron ng mga sintomas, you have to stay home, you have to rest at magpapagaling.
Alright, on that note, maraming salamat po sa inyo. Thank you, infectious disease expert Dr. Ron Jean Solate. Thanks, Doc.
Bilang Pilipino, bilang Pilipino.
The Commission on Elections said celebrities and social media influencers can endorse family members or relatives running in the 2025 midterm polls. COMELEC Chairman George Garcia clarified that the regulation on paid endorsements doesn't apply to relatives up to the second degree of consanguinity or affinity. However, candidates must report any payments for endorsements not covered by this exemption in their statement of contributions and expenditures or SOSE. Failure to do so could lead to disqualification.
Aminin na natin na hindi naman pumura pagka po kayo nag-avail ng isang celebrity. Pagka ang isang ordinaryong nangangampanya o kumakandidato, bumili lamang ng mga t-shirt, kinakailangan i-report. Ito pag nagbabayad ng milyon, hindi kinakailangan i-report at sasabihin sa atin libre.
And I remember sa The Grill, when we spent time with Chairman George Garcia, sinabi, hindi naman kami ganun kasama siguro na hindi mo papayagan kung tatay mo tumatakbo, i-post mo yung tatay mo, or ganun, di ba? Given na yun, daddy, tito, kapatid, di ba? Given na yun. Pero ang sinasabi ni Chairman George, after pag third degree already, well, you have to declare that already.
Tsaka,
that will be counted
totoo,
already.
Ang presumption ng COMELEC dyan, lahat ng mga artista o influencers na nag-i-endorse ng mga kandidato ngayong campaign elections ay binabayaran. Yun ang sinabi ng COMELEC, di ba?
Basta ang word, ang keyword na ginamit niya, presumption.
Yun ang presumption.
Kasi may mga di ba, I think ikaw nang tanong yun, parang, paano kung kalaban, tapos magpo-post yung kalaban, sabihin yung, di ba? Sabihin ng isa, yung kalaban ko nag-post nun sabi ni Chairman George, well, ang presumption namin is bakit ka magpo-post sa kalaban mo? Diba? So, ikaw yun. Parang yan ang presumption
Parang
niya.
before, yung wala pang mga social media, yung sa mga tarpaulin. Kunyari, di ba may specific areas lang na dapat lagyan ng tarpaulin?
Pag na-flag yung candidate, kalaban ko yun.
Hindi ako yung naglagay nun kalaban ko
Kaya ang ganda
yun Pero how are you going to
ang ganda sinabi ni Chairman George, bakit ka magpo-post ng kalaban mo? Di na-promote mo yung kalaban mo, di ba? Maganda naman.
Black propaganda.
The keyword is presumption.
Yun. So, ilan lamang yan dun sa mga bagong rules and regulations ng COMELEC kasi nga meron na tayo, as compared before, ngayon talaga mainit yung paggamit ng mga social medias ngayon. Kaya naglalabas sila ngayon ng regulations sa kanilang website. Alright, meantime, the implementation of gun ban in 2 Bangsamoro provinces has been intensified. Police teams have been notably visible in Maguindanao del Sur and Maguindanao del Norte. Barm Police said the Army's 6th Infantry Division is now helping them enforce the gun ban. This is to prevent a repeat of the deadly incidents in both provinces in the past 3 weeks. 10 people in Maguindanao del Sur had been killed, while Maguindanao del Norte had 5 deadly gun-related incidents.
Yan, so the gun ban covers
Umiiral yan,
mga
ngayon.
PTC, permit to carry, mga legal guns. Ang nabanggit din ng COMELEC noon, ang magiging problema ngayon is yung mga illegal firearms na gagamitin sa eleksyon. Yun ang kailangan babantayan nila. Kasi yung gun ban, kung may existing permit ka, canceled muna yung permit habang may eleksyon. So, kunyari, legally, you're allowed to carry a gun. Ngayon, iwan mo na sa bahay yan.
Yes. Okay. In other news? Sorry.
Akin yun lang.
Oo nga, sa'yo.
In other news, authorities arrested 2 alleged fixers who were also posing as government officials on Wednesday. PAOK said the suspects extorted millions of pesos from families of foreign POGO workers. They would tell their victims that they could secure passports for them in exchange of money. Authorities entrapped the suspects after they asked the victims for a 250,000 peso marked money for the delisting of a foreign national from the Bureau of Immigration's blacklist.
Nako, talaga
Mga
naman.
fixer na yan. Ang dami niyan. Kung saan-saan mga ahensya yan.
Eh, ngayon
Ay,
nakakita
nako.
sila ng opportunity sa mga POGO workers, mga foreign POGO workers. So,
Kung
pinapangakuan nila.
Kung makahanap, di ba, I mean, pinaalis natin yung mga illegal Chinese sa Pogo, tapos tayo rin mga Pinoy, rumaraket-raket, ano ba naman yan? Anyway, don't go away. We're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Brunch for today here on One News.
Okay, babati muna ako, of course, sa mga brunchies natin. I cannot not greet them, di ba? Dito sa YouTube naman, Facebook muna, si VJ Vladimir
VJ.
Ponce de Leon, of course, si Ate Ice.
Si
sino pa
Yuri,
to?
brother ni VJ.
Oh, ito kasi iba yung character nung kanyang good
Sam
morning na lang
Pokemon
sa'yo.
Go, Gary Field.
Ayun. John
Chara-
Aquino.
Character person.
Marian Alas, Paulo Lepura, Ralph Domingo, hi Ralph, Joey Gica, Rash Rasid, Roderick De Juan, good morning po sa inyo. Over here on YouTube, good morning din and happy watching kila, of course, Tita Daisy ng Antipolo Rizal, Tita Daisy, Tito Naldi, at saka si Kuya Jopet ng Antipolo. Tita Mirna ng Pasig. We also have Alex Fuentes, Ronald Maxtay, Geraldine Balolong, all the way from Bukidnon. Siya ay nanonood. Si Violeta De Balos, sabi niya, nanonood daw sila ng kanyang mother na 86 years old.
Uy,
Hello po.
Gandang umaga,
Oo,
ma'am.
Oo, maraming salamat po sa inyong panonood. Mark Santiago, nanonood din siya. Okay, si Summer Cabrera, of course. Good morning po sa inyo.
Good morning.
Nina Beñales, of course, don't
Jesse
forget.
Mendez family.
Okay, and Tita Esther Abay.
All right, let's now move on to the news. A total of 91 lawmakers have refrained from signing the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte. Iloilo Representative Lawrence Defensor, one of the prosecutors in the impeachment trial, noted that each lawmakers had their own reasons for not supporting the complaint. Some notable figures who did not sign include allies of VP Duterte, such as former President and Pampanga Representative Gloria Macapagal Arroyo and Sagip Party List Representative Rodante Marcoleta. Senatorial candidates like Camille Villar and AXIS Party List Representative Erwin Tulfo also refrained from signing the complaint.
Yun. Yan yung
Kanya-kanyang
mga-
kanya-kanyang reasons.
Yung,
Yeah.
Most of them kasi yung iba, well, of course, you would expect that to former President and now Congresswoman Gloria Macapagal Arroyo.
Oh.
Because we all know naman yung alyansa niya with VP Sara. But of course, yung ibang mga reasons, yan yung mga may kamag-anak daw sa Senado. Sila yung mga hindi nag-sign. Like you have Villar, you have Revilla also, yung anak niyang dalawa, tapos yung asawa niya, yan, mga hindi mga...
Pero yung alam mo, yung refraining from doing things to avoid yung mga bahid-bahid na ganyan, understandable yan if it's a judicial court or practice because very detrimental sa kaso ang ganyan. But this is a political exercise. And alam naman natin, no matter what happens, diba, there will always be motive since it's a political exercise nga.
Right.
So if you are standing by a certain brand of politics, might as well come out and say, ito ako, ito sinusuportahan ko. Diba? Kasi kung hindi, ang term doon, hindi ka pala matapang na to stand up for your principles. And
Parang
show the
lang
public.
sa neutral
Oo.
lang.
Kung show the public, ano ka? Saan ka papanig? Kaliwa, kanan, sa
Bakit daw
gitna.
kailangan kasi may ipanigan?
Ha?
Bakit daw kailangan may
Because you have to show what you... kaya nga politics eh. Kung anong platform mo. Platform ko, platform niya ang papanigan mo. Diba? Pakita mo yung kulay mo.
Anyway.
In other words, before you go on, have some cojones.
Yun. Meanwhile, Senator Amy Marcos says she is opposed to the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte. Amy said the government should focus on legitimate problems endured by Filipinos. Quoting her, she said, impeachment ba at destabilisasyon ang solusyon? Amy added that she rejects a revolutionary government. The presidential sister is a known ally of Vice President Sara Duterte.
Well, if you impeach the Vice President, ang presidente pa rin natin si Bongbong Marcos, PBBM. So, paano naging revolutionary government? Di ba? Parang brother mo naman yan eh. So,
Kaya nga yung sinasabi ng on the other side of the fence na hindi daw makatarungan na impeach si VP Sara because she was voted by millions of Filipinos,
Yeah.
majority of
Oo.
Filipinos. And, yung iba naman nagsasabi, oo nga, pero doesn't mean na hindi pwede i-hold accountable ang isang
Yun.
tao
Alam mo,
kapag siya ay binoto
the
na
mandate,
nakararami.
kaya nga betrayal of public trust, the mandate given to you is not a mandate to bypass yung budget, not to explain yung budget, or to do wrong. If there is a presumption na may ginawa kang mali, then yung mandate mo has to be held accountable and give the mandate to someone else.
Yeah, I was wondering, had VP Sara explained siguro yung mga funds, yung budget, diba? If she was able to explain it, siguro hindi umabot sa ganito.
It would have helped, but then again, if she was really guilty, then it would have not helped at all. So,
Pwede rin, oo.
parang hindi natin malalaman yan, but it would have lessened siguro yung anger ng lower house sa kanya. Walang friction masyado. Kung she answered properly lang from the start.
And this one, yung from the statement of Amy Marcos, yes, I believe also na talaga ang daming problema ng Pilipinas. And of course, sinasabi din niya na hindi na tayo masusurprise sa kanya because siya yung, what you call this, yung promotor, di ba sabi niya, in her own words, yung promotor ng Uniteam eh. Sa kanya nang galing yung suggestion na mag-unite ang Duterte at saka Marcos during the 2022 elections. Kaya medyo masama yung loob niya dahil itong kanyang brainchild, kumbaga, di ba, ay nag-falter down.
Tama siya, na madaming problema Pilipinas, but that does not mean yung whatever is provided in the Constitution, wag na natin gawin because ang dadahilan mo may ibang dapat gawin. If there's someone to be held accountable, go through with the process. Kung naging innocent siya at the end of the trial, then so be it.
I forgot
Pagdaanan
nga to
natin ang
ask
proseso.
Professor Dennis kanina no, since political science naman yung expertise niya. Ano yung impact nito sa ekonomiya natin and sa buong mundo, how the world perceive us right now dito sa nangyayari sa atin. Dahil I remember nung sa Korea, 'di ba, nagkagulo sila, we were all watching what's happening there dahil dun sa martial law, etc. na
Martial law
problema
has a
nila.
negative impact
Yes,
sa business,
oo.
but impeachment
In-impeach din yung presidente doon.
50-50 yan eh. Some will say, the old school of thought will say, the mere fact that there's an impeachment process means erring public officials are held accountable for their actions. Therefore, the wheel of democracy is turning fully and properly in a certain country. Yun ang isang side. Ang kabilang side naman, kinakatakutan ng tao, pag presidente ang itatry mo impeach naman, teka lang, ano mangyayari sa next policy?
Yeah.
Yun lang yun. So, pero it just shows you na umiikot ang demokrasya sa ating bansa.
Umiikot ang demokrasya at umiikot ang gulong ng palad. Di ba? Hindi kasi one day, alam mo naman before, one day ang Duterte is on top of the
Wala
world.
mong gulong ang palad eh.
Right now, iba.
Anyway, sige. Let's move on to the next. President Bongbong Marcos reaffirmed the Philippines' commitment to safeguarding its sovereignty in the West Philippine Sea. In a press briefing at Malacanang, Marcos stressed that the country will maintain its presence in the disputed waters, regardless of China's actions. The president assured the public that the Philippine vessels will continue patrolling the area despite the prolonged presence of Chinese Coast Guard vessel 5901, known as the Monster Ship. Marcos also warned that any foreign vessel intruding into Philippine coastal waters will face appropriate action. We'll face appropriate action and then iwa-water cannon tayo. Then we'll let them, sige, hayaan na natin sila. I mean, naaawa na ako sa natin eh. Navy personnel, Coast Guard, sila ang sumasalo. They're protecting our sovereignty, they're protecting our rights, pero sila ang sumasalo ng danger.
Right.
Day in, day out, nasa peligro ang buhay nila.
Yes, and of course, our fishermen there, kasi may mga ibang reports also na, 'di ba, hindi sila makapag-fish doon sa area. Nahihirapan sila. That's why ang Coast Guard naman binabantayan din sila, 'di ba? Mayroong assistance from the Coast Guard para matuloy yung kanilang fishing doon sa area ng ating EEZ.
Exclusive Economic Zone, which entitles the Philippines to exclusive rights to earn money from that zone. Yun po ang EEZ. Kasi iba yung sovereign rights din eh. So that's two different things. So,
All right, meanwhile, the Trump administration commits to maintain its so-called ironclad defense alliance with the Philippines. This comes following the conversation between Defense Secretary Gibo Teodoro and his U.S. counterpart, Pete Hegseth. The Pentagon said the leaders discussed the importance of re-establishing deterrence in the South China Sea. It added that the U.S. will support the modernization of the armed forces of the Philippines.
ayan. So, okay matakot. Yung US aid
Ako
might have been
talaga,
frozen, but yung defense treaty remains intact pa rin. Ibang agreement yon.
Pero ako talaga, when we are talking about yung modernization, ang pangarap ko talaga makita kung maayos yung BRP Sierra Madre.
Yeah, but we cannot modernize anymore a fleet or Air Force kasi
maano lang,
I know.
maayos lang, hindi
kasi that's a symbol. I agree with you. Pero
dahil
ang sinasabi ko sa kasi symbolism naman yun.
oo.
But yung defense treaty will cover how to defend our area.
Kasi syempre, di ba sinasabi nila na, paano, baka inaantay na lang ng China na maguho yun dun sa gitna ng, ng
No, pag symbolism naman, we can do it on our own. We don't need the assistance of the US.
I know.
But the US comes in.
But I thought about kasi the modernization program.
Kasi in the future, kasi pag na-resolve tong issue sa West Philippine Sea, as a symbol kasi, yung Sierra Madre, ayusin natin.
Yeah.
Pero with regards to defense modernization, ang mukhang direksyon ng PBBM admin is a competent missile system, which is cheaper to maintain. Then,
Basta ibabalik daw niya ang Typhoon sa US.
you know naman how he meant that,
Kung
di ba?
baback down
Alam
ng
niyang
US.
hindi naman mag-back out ang China.
Oo.
Kung
I mean
mag-back-
China,
Oo,
rather.
alam niyang hindi mangyayari yan. Anyway, yun.
Uy nga pala ha, today is the last day of brunch.
That's what I was gonna say.
Sige, go ahead.
Go,
Season
no.
finale na daw tayo
Season
ng brunch.
finale ng brunch.
Pero don't fret. Don't be afraid. Ano pa?
No, may
Don't be sad.
Oo,
Dahil...
today is the last episode of Brunch. It's been a wonderful 1 year for everyone. Thank you sa mga tao nandyan sa kabila. Yung
sila
Direk Marvin, si
sila
Merabad,
Kuya
si
Mel,
JR, si
sila
Lane,
si Kuya Bong, si Ayan, yung mga writers
si
natin.
Ate Barbie.
Of course. Sino pa ba nakalimutan namin? Si Lalaine,
Sinabi namin
si Madam Lalaine.
Si
diba?
Madam Lalaine,
Si
pwede mo.
Thea.
Si Carlo.
Si Carlo,
Naku,
of
wag mo
course, ang
kalimutan si
ating
Carlo.
bossing.
Ang ating bossing. Si Ma'am IC, of course.
Si
diba?
Sir Jovi,
Sir
diba?
Jovi.
Lahat na naman.
Thank you. But don't worry, di ba? My quote will explain it all in a bit.
Oo. Tapos of course, thank you dun sa mga sponsors namin all throughout the year, di ba, na nagpadala ng mga food here. Don't worry. Tapos of course, ang ano natin, Buddha's Belly. Maraming
Mangyayari lang po is
talagang-
brunch will just from a kid
still going to be
magiging teenager. Yeah, all right.
Oo. Diba? So, abangan nyo po sa Lunes, of course, yung...
10 a.m. pa rin.
Oo, yung
Sa
ano
atin.
natin, jam-packed and anong tawag din na power na morning
Power-packed
natin.
morning sa
Ayun.
One News.
So, 8 o'clock, si Gretchen Hoyan,
Yeah.
Morning Matters.
8 to
And of
9.
course, that's 8 to 9 in the
9:30 to
morning.
10.
9:30 to 10, we have
Kathy Yang.
of, niya?
Ha?
Money
Money
Talks
Talks,
with
oo.
Kathy Yang. Of
And
course, us, diba, follow
News
us.
and Views.
Yes,
10 a.m.
News
to
and
11
Views.
a.m.
Okay, so see you ha. Sa Monday pa rin, kami pa rin naman.
And with that, I'd like to leave all of you with a final word for brunch. Move on. It's just a chapter in the past. Don't close the book. Just turn the page. A quote from my father, Angelo Castro Jr.
Ayan, no? Uy, pero tune in for the...
Move on. Diba?
Oo, it's just a chapter in the past.
So don't close the book. Just turn the
turn
page.
the
So we're turning the page today.
Yes. So, kabilang chapter naman po
Kabilang
ang The
chapter.
Castros. With News and Views, that's going to be 10
a.m. to 11 a.m.
10 to 11 a.m. But don't forget to tune in for the press conference of Vice President Sara Duterte following her impeachment by the House of Representatives. Batiin ko lang muna nakalimutan ko si June San Joaquin at saka si Mirna o Almaria ng Pasig. Yan, maraming salamat. And si Leonie Valdesoto, nagpahabol lang sila kasi hindi na tayo makakabati sa susunod.
And that wraps up today's final episode of Brunch.
Join us again on Monday for News and Views. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro. And he is Angelo Castro III. We are One News, all sides, all the time. Happy weekend!